Of course, my general view is include independent media in the press corps, give new media people a seat. The problem, of course, with the implementation is that they have turned this new media press briefing into a sort of overt shelf of sycophants and suck-ups. And you'll get a sense of it just from listening to this.
And today, and I appreciate the administration making yourself available and making it available to us and all of our followers. And I understand that you're going to be continuing these. I think it's fantastic that really have everybody come in and be able to do this. One of the things that's been troubling me and has actually even affected me over the last 24 hours is the rise of violence that we've seen from elements of the far left.
Yes, he's troubled by this.
Starting with things like Luigi Maggioni, these support for these unhuman organizations like MS-13, Tren de Aragua.
Now, understand that none of that is real. None of that is happening.
And even, of course, the assassination attempts on President Trump, Thomas Matthew Crooks, and Ryan Routh, as well as numerous incidents against anyone who owns a Tesla, apparently. You don't really see the Democrats opposing these things. You see them in many cases.
You actually do.
Cases either co-signing it or giving a wink and nod to it at the same time that they will be demanding that we follow due process for anyone who actually is a hardened criminal or some of the worst of the worst. What is the administration doing, DOJ-wise or FBI-wise, to combat this rise in violence that we're seeing?
What a question.
It's a great question, Jack, and I absolutely agree with the premise of your question, which I usually don't when I take questions at a podium. But certainly you're right. We have seen a rise in political violence that stems from the left, dating back to the Black Lives Matter movement, which the left and the Democrats...
So she goes on to give her just completely unhinged answer. And of course, it's completely untrue that there is a problem with left-wing political violence in the United States. The political violence in the United States for decades has been overwhelmingly on the right. But the big story here is that the Trump White House is creating this fake secondary press corps with the idea that they are giving more independent voices a say. But it's just a bunch of loyalists there to lob softballs and spin conspiracies and then post clips for clout. There's no...
Yeah, so there are plenty of violent left-wingers. This is a stupid question from Jack Posobiec, but Democrats constantly condemn them. Luigi Mangione was not even a leftist, even if what he did seemed leftist adjacent in terms of assassinating a CEO. But yeah, this is just typical red meat, like, hey, softball, like, hey, aren't leftists bad? Aren't Democrats bad? Leftists do violent things and Democrats won't condemn them. Won't President Trump and his DOJ stand up to these evil people? And as David's saying, yeah, this is ridiculous. This is just for clout. This is like, hey, you know, we're bringing in the cool kids into the White House to ask some questions. They're part of the edgy independent media. They're going to come in here and ask legit questions. They're not going to be like the fake news mainstream media who are going to focus on stuff that doesn't matter and stuff that's a load of malarkey and just nonsense like TDS or whatever. No, these people are actually asking the more insane questions. Mainstream media gets it wrong plenty of times, but independent media, especially far-right independent media, gets it wrong far more, actually. As insufferable as mainstream media may seem, as you just saw from Jack Posobiec, independent media gives them a good run for their money. It makes them look far, far more serious by comparison. The Trump assassination thing, he brought that up. The Trump assassination thing was perpetuated by a Republican. Yes, it was a Republican who seemingly didn't like Trump. You know, you can be one of those. But this was a guy who was a registered Republican, a 20-year-old man. Registered Republican, not a leftist. So it's not leftists that are going out and doing violence most of the time. And for Posobiec to say that, and for Leavitt to entertain that, is just irresponsible and reckless. It could lead to violence against leftists, actually. You know, it's the type of thing that, like, dictators and autocratic governments like to do. They spin up this controversy like, oh, they're coming for you, you know, they're coming for you. And their politicians, they won't condemn them, so you better watch out, you know, aren't they bad? You know, shouldn't the DOJ do something about this? Shouldn't we get some, you know, jackbooted thugs to come after these evil leftists and make sure they stay in line? It's shameful. And yeah, it's just a ridiculous circle jerk. Sorry for that image. Sorry for that grotesque term. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is the more the merrier. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, or subscribe, and I speak to you in the next video.